everyone. My name is Sarah Klofkon, and I'd like to welcome you to our webinar session today on how to increase your simulation sales with the updated SAM and PAT basic auscultation mannequins. Today I'll be assisted by Nico and Malte, who are helping me with the technical details in the background. And I'd like also to encourage you during this webinar, kindly send in your questions using the chat box. We'll gather these questions and then we'll send them to you in an FAQ sheet where you can be able to see the responses to these questions. So today in our webinar, we are going to basically look at three things. What we want to focus on today is how you can present to your customers the newly upgraded SAM mannequin and PAT mannequin. And as you present these features, how you can comfortably do a product demo of both products. We're also going to look at how you can identify the most qualified customers, or who are the persons that you're supposed to contact in order for you to be successful in your sales for both SAM and the PAT auscultation mannequin. And then thirdly, I'm going to talk briefly about our ongoing campaign. We are running a campaign on SAM Online. SAM Online is a platform where students can practice on auscultation. And as a distributor, you can combine this offer in your SAM and PAT mannequin offers. So I'm going to begin by defining what you do with these two products here. So as you can see, on this side, I have the SAM mannequin, and on this side is the PAT mannequin. And both of them are usually for training on auscultation. So auscultation is a critical skill for students because it enables them to assess and monitor various conditions with their patients. So these conditions have to basically do with the lungs, with the heart, with the bowel, or with the brute sounds. So when students are able to auscultate these sounds, they are able to respond to what they need to do to their patient. Before I go deeply on SAM and PAT basic, I'm going also to mention the other mannequins that we have that people can use for training in auscultation. So with SAM, we have three variations of the SAM mannequin, and I'll do it in a descending order. So I'll start with SAM 3G. So SAM 3G is currently it's the highest mannequin that we have. And the way we differentiate these mannequins is that it depends on their functionality and the library of sounds. That's basically what defines them, one mannequin from the other. So SAM 3G is the highest. It has the highest library of sounds. And then after SAM 3G, you have SAM 2. That is what follows SAM 3G. And lastly, you have the SAM basic. So this is the lowest in terms of pricing, and it has slightly lesser functionalities as compared to the others. And then when it comes to the PAT variations, we have two. So we have the standard PAT, and then we have the PAT basic. And as you realize, the names also help you a little bit when you're explaining the product. So SAM simply means student auscultation mannequin. So that also helps you when you're explaining it to your customers. And then for PAT, it's just PAT, and it's the pediatric version of it. So it's just the pediatric auscultation mannequin. So having looked at the two products, or you've seen them, so they also differ in sizes, as you can see. The SAM one, it shows an adult torso, and the PAT one shows the child or the pediatric version of it. I'm going to explain to you step by step, and we'll begin with the delivery content, and then we'll look at the products as we proceed. Kindly don't forget, send in your questions in the chat box, and we'll get back to you after that. So the first thing when you do, when you get SAM, usually there are components that come with it. There are not so many. And we are talking today about the SAM basic that we have upgraded for you. You get a torso. So I'm going to explain the two products in parallel because they are more or less the same. The difference comes in the library of sounds, as we will see in our progress of this webinar. So I'll start with the pediatric version of it. So PAT, you get a mannequin delivered. And as you can see, it's very light. So it's something that you can move around from one training room to the other. And it is something that you can also ship lightly. When you look at the torso here, it has also well-defined features. So if you look here around the breast region, you can see the nipples. And this is important for students because they can be able to orient themselves when they're doing auscultation. And later on, as you'll see, you can either decide to do the auscultation with the t-shirt on, or you can decide to remove the t-shirt from the pediatric version of it, or for the SAM version. So the first thing that you get is the portable torso. Then the second thing that you get in your delivery is this one here. I hope you can all see it. So this is a SIM scope. I'll explain it in detail. We'll look at it. This is a SIM scope. SIM scope simply means from the word SIM scope, a simulation stethoscope. So it just simulates the sounds. The next thing that you get in your delivery content, we provide you with the software. It comes in a CD form, and usually you can also download this and import it to your computer. So you can copy it in a USB sticker. We are trying to improve that, and we are hoping that in the next deliveries, we'll use an USB stick for that. So currently it's at a CD-ROM, and you can play this on a USB and just plug it into your computer. The next thing that is delivered is a USB cable. So the USB cable, as we'll be seeing later on, is what you will use or what you will need to be able to import the sounds. Remember, the software is inside here. So you would need to be able to interact with the software. And for you to be able to interact with the software, you need this cable here, and you just connect it here to the side port. And then on the other side, you connect it to a laptop, as I have done with my SAM Basic here. So if you can have a look here on the side, it's really easy, plug and play. Just connect it here and then connect it to your laptop, and then you'll be able to see the software. We'll be looking at the software in a couple of minutes. Then the other thing that you get in your delivery content is a user guide. So it's really in detail. It explains to you everything that you need to know about the SimScope, and it also explains a couple of other products that we have. So it's a really detailed user manual. We also have this manual as a soft copy. So if you look on our website, you're able to download it. So even after the webinar, just take a minute and read through the manual as well. So, excuse me, the delivery content is the same. So what we've seen for PAT, which is a pediatric version, is the same as that for SAM. So both of them will have more or less the same content, the same physical delivery content. One thing I want to mention at this point is that an advantage of these two mannequins, especially for you as a distributor, when you're presenting it to your customers, you can be able to explain to them how easy it is to set this up. So as you have seen, you just need to have the mannequin, place it somewhere on a farm table, and then you need to connect the stethoscope. And after connecting the stethoscope, you're good to go. You're good to do your auscultation. The other thing that you're going to see as we go through our webinar is that you need very minimal training for these two mannequins. So you just need to understand how to select the sounds and how to place the stethoscope correctly. And lastly, the other thing that you can mention to your customers is that the students, they can comfortably train with very, very minimal supervision, and necessary, sometimes even without supervision. So they are able to go into details of the mannequin. So what you're going to do now, I'm going to explain to you the SimScope. This here, because it's the most important item when you're presenting the both mannequins, when you're presenting the SAM mannequin and the PAT mannequin. So as I mentioned at the beginning, so the SimScope is an electronic simulation stethoscope. I hope you can see it here. Previously, in our older models, we had different variations of the mannequin coming with or without Wi-Fi, but now we have upgraded the product to make it more comfortable to use, in that we are providing all our basic mannequins with a Wi-Fi version. As we will see in our explanation, the Wi-Fi version just means that I'm able to do auscultation without necessarily connecting this to the PC. So I will need to upload the sound. I'll need to select the sounds that I want to play. And once I have selected the sounds, I'm able to do auscultation without necessarily always having it connected to a PC or the source. So let's look at the simulation stethoscope. I'm going to compare it to a normal stethoscope so that you're able to understand the product even as you present it to your customers. So if you look here, they're both very similar in terms of structure. The only difference come in this part here. If you look at this part, this middle part is the part that holds the electronics. I'm going to show you Usually it is powered by a battery, and the way you do it is you just slide open AAA battery. If you just slide open, I hope you can be able to see the battery. This is the battery that you will use to operate the SimScope. And usually when you're using it as non-fi and it is connected to a laptop, it gets its power through your laptop. So you need to be careful that the battery is always sufficient. However, when the battery runs low, you get a command, a voice prompt that tells you battery low. It gives you a warning. And then a few minutes later, it's just going to power itself off. But it should comfortably work with any AAA battery. So as you can see, it has binaural listening tips. So you can be able to listen as with a normal stethoscope and place it on your ear. And then the other thing you can see is that it has a chest piece that resembles what students are familiar with. That's one advantage of using the SimScope. So the gadget is really similar to what they have to work with on a daily basis. So using the chest piece here, the students then later on, they need to walk through and identify the landmarks where they can auscultate with. Other than that, you also realize that it has a plus and minus sign at the back of it. So this is to enable you, this is what you press at the beginning to switch on the system. So you press the plus button for a couple of seconds until a voice prompt tells you system powered. So there's a voice prompt that's going to tell you that the SimScope is now on and it is ready for use. Once it is ready for use and you're doing your auscultation, you can also switch between sounds. So you can always move to the next sound, just press the plus, press plus, and then the system is going to automatically move to the next sound that you are using. So the other thing that you realize is that the SAM and the PAT libraries, you can also customize them. That is something else that's a selling point for you. So if your customers, they need more sounds than we already have, you can get in touch with us and you can always upgrade or increase the sounds for you. And that's something that's always good for the customers when they learn that the library is always increasing and they can do something else with their sound. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you the software. So I'll share my screen with you just to show you, because as it is now, you cannot see the sounds. Everything is in the system already. And as I mentioned before, using this USB cable, you put it at the side of the port here, and then you connect it to your laptop, as I have already done. So I did this already with the SAM. So the software that you're going to look at is the software for the SAM Basic. I have connected it already, as you can see here. So the port is connected and it is connected to my laptop. The difference between the basic version and the other versions is that for these versions here, the individual student has to listen to the sounds through the stethoscope. So for this one here, you cannot play the sounds externally. For that one, you would need the SAM2 that I mentioned at the beginning, or the SAM3G. So for these higher versions, it's possible to connect the sounds, as we had in our previous session for SAM Online. You can play the sounds and you can listen to the sounds through an external speaker. However, something that you can do with this one for group learning is that you can order several stethoscopes. So when your customer is buying, they can buy 3 stethoscopes or 4 stethoscopes or 5 stethoscopes, and all these stethoscopes can be connected to one mannequin. And when you connect this to one mannequin, so 5 of them or 7 of them, depending on the number of mannequins that the number of stethoscopes that you have ordered, they'll be able to listen at the same time, but each is doing it individually. Just a minute now, I'll sit down and share my screen with you, and then I can walk you through the software part of it. So as you can see through my skin, through my laptop, that's how the software looks like. Previously, you could not see anything on the stethoscope, but once you are connected, this is the window that appears for you. And I'll just walk you step by step through what you're seeing on my screen here. So on your top left side, there's a drop-down button. So that one will show you the Wi-Fi that you are connected to. And the next button will show you the mannequin that you are connected to. So here, as you can see, I have connected the SAM Basic. And remember, during the setup, the initial setup, you have to name the SimScope, and every SimScope comes with a serial number. So at some point, in case your customer is interested in adding more sounds, we will need the serial number of the SIM scope so we can see the list of sounds that they have, and we can be able to assist them either increase more sounds or add more stethoscopes to that particular mannequin. So if I had several stethoscopes, then they would be listed here on this drop-down list. I've just connected some basic. Remember, as I mentioned at the beginning, the products are similar. The software is also similar. The sounds are different. So the sound library for SAM is just for the adult version, and the sound library for PAT is for the pediatric version. I'll walk you through the library, and at the library, usually you have a drop-down list. So you can see here we have some basic. When I click on it, I have a drop-down list of various sounds that I can select from. And for SAM basic, we have about 18 hard sounds. So I'll just compare SAM and PAT basic at the same time because they are, as I mentioned, the structure is similar. So under hard sounds, the students can select on the drop-down list, and you can pick on any sound that you want to listen to. So for example, I'm going to pick by double-clicking, and then when I click on the sound, there's a blue file on the left side. That one is for adding sound. So if I click on it, then the sound is automatically added. So if you walk with me to the right side, there is the aortic stenosis mild. It is then added to my list. And all the sounds that you select are then your scenarios. So when you now use the stethoscope in a Wi-Fi mode, the sounds that you had pre-selected here in this drop-down list are the sounds that you're going to be able to play remotely. So you don't need to go back and forth every time connecting. Once you've selected the sounds for every scenario, those are the sounds that you'll be able to play through your stethoscope. I can also add a different sound. I'll just click on atrial fibrillation, double click. Okay, I need to disconnect the sound before. So for me to be able to remove the previous sound, if I had it already, I'd click on this other arrow. This other arrow is what you use to delete sounds from the sounds that you had previously selected. So I have deleted the sound from my stethoscope, and I'm going to add a different one. Either I can add it by double clicking on the sound, or as I had previously mentioned, I can use the arrow here to add the sound. So if you move your mouse over it, it also guides you. It tells you the functionality of that, of what you're able to do that. So that is the hard sound library for SAM. As I mentioned, we have 18 sounds for that. For PAT basic, there are 25 hard sounds. So if we had connected the SimScope for PAT, there would be 25 hard sounds that we can look at. Then we can look at the lung sound. And one thing that's really efficient for the student is that the sounds are also differentiated in terms of the region. So you can look at the sounds from all lobes, or you can also decide to look at them in terms of the regions, either to look at the right lower lobe or the left one. I'll just select on any. It's the same way as you did it with the hearts. So you just either double click on any of the sounds. The thing with this one here is you have to pre-select the sounds, and then you need to first play them, and after that you need to remove them from the list. Otherwise they overrun each other if I'm using that. So here you have all the lung sounds listed there, and additionally you also have some vowel sounds. And as I mentioned, there are variations to these sounds that students can listen to. So here you have 5 sounds. And when you look at the part, the vowel sounds are 4 sounds. So the hard sounds for SAM, there are 18 in number. The hard sounds for PAT are 25. The lung sounds for SAM, you have a total of 19. And for PAT, you have a total of 12 for all the sounds. We'll also send you some materials at the end of the webinar just to give you an overview of all these sounds and the specific sounds that you can listen to. So that's here with the sounds library. The next thing that you see here is I have here a button that states upgrade scenarios. So at some point, the customer may want to upgrade their SimScope, and by upgrade, I mean addition of sounds. So maybe they would they want an extra sound added to their library. Like currently, we have a case where we've uploaded a case of COVID-19. It's available for all parts, all SAM and PAT basic mannequins. So what the customer would do, they would just give us the serial number. They send us the serial number of the SimScope that they have, and then they will get the COVID-19 case uploaded for them. So they will just need to press this button here, and then if there are any uploads that have been made, it will be automatically done for them. The other thing that you notice here is we have a graphical presentation of standardized patients. So here you have the anterior and the posterior views. So if you're selecting a sound, you can be able to see here whether you're playing it from the anterior part or from the posterior side of it. So, and then on the left side here, you have a save button. So this one basically saves the selected scenarios, and scenarios are the sounds that you had pre-selected so that you're able to play them wirelessly if you prefer to. So you always have a box here showing you the sounds. And if you click, for example, you can also interact with the sounds further when they're connected here. So I can be able to store and mute. Maybe I need to do an explanation to the students as a teacher, or I need to explain something. Then I'll just unmute it, and then it will be played again. And here you have a play button. So I can hear, but if people cannot hear, because as I mentioned, the basic versions cannot be connected to external speakers. So you can also easily increase the volume or decrease the volume, and that you can do with all the sounds that you have pre-selected. For you to hear, you can manually increase and decrease the volume, but if you are on a sound and you're doing it remotely over Wi-Fi, remember we say that you can do it using the plus or minus button that is on your SimScope stethoscope. So then when you look down here, there are also further icons that you can interact with. One of the icons is there's a pin here. So the pin here says that you play the sounds by location. So I would then move my stethoscope over the mannequin, and then I would play the sounds specifically. I would hear the sounds on each of the locations as I move the stethoscope. So if I'm in the heart region, I would hear the sounds in the heart region. If I move my stethoscope down to the bowel region, then I would hear the sounds in the bowel region. And then we also have the second file, the second one, that is play sound by file. So here is from the drop-down list that you selected, the particular files that you have uploaded. You can also play them through there. And then the third icon that you have here is for locking. It's a padlock sign. So you can lock the site. And this is important for students, for example, if you want to freeze the sounds. So if you click on this, they would have to, some of the things would be blended out for them. So you can switch off from verification mode. So they will not get any verification of the sounds. They just learn the sounds and try to memorize what the sounds are all about. Then we have, finally, you have the save button. So here you just save the selected sounds and scenarios that you had previously selected. And the last one here, as you saw previously, it simply allows you to remove any of the sounds that you had previously selected. So if you had a sound in the list and you want to change it, or you want to add another sound, you remove the previous ones, and then you can add this to your library. So this basically is the interface that you see when you connect the stethoscope or the SimScope, when you connect the SimScope to a laptop or to a computer. As I mentioned at the beginning, kindly, if you have any questions on the software, please communicate to us, and we will create a sounds list, not a sounds list, an FAQ sheet that we will send to you after this webinar. So the next thing that I want to look at, I want us to look at some of the areas. I'll switch on my camera again. Yeah. So because we are done with the software, the next thing that I want us to have a look at is what are some of the places where you can sell this mannequin as. So as I mentioned, auscultation is an important skill that is basically needed all through the training period of the students. And I have listed a couple of places that you can kindly take advantage of and present this product to. So some of the places that we strongly recommend that you get in touch with and sell this product are medical schools, nursing schools, we have pharmacy schools, we have hospital clinics, and people who practice telemedicine. We have physical assistant departments, respiratory departments. We have standardized patient programs. So standardized patient programs are simply where they have actors who are acting as patients. We also have physical therapy, athletic training. So generally, it's any institution that has to do with the training on conditions of the heart, the lung, bowel, or brute sounds. All these, amongst others, are places where you can make contact and have them train and use SAM and PAT basic. The other thing that I wanted to talk about before we wind up is we have an ongoing campaign of SAM Online. SAM Online is basically a site license where students can practice auscultation, and I'm going to show you the form that you can send your customers to fill in. So this is our form. I kindly encourage you to send this form to your customers and encourage them to register. This offer is ongoing, so we request you to encourage them to log in. And when they log into the SAM Free, they're able to freely use the software for 60 days. We've extended the promotion until the end of June, so you still have some time to encourage your customers to use this. We had a webinar on this last week. Kindly, you can refer to this as well. So in summary, what I wanted to say basically is I encourage you to go out to your customers, present to them both the pediatric version and the SAM version of it. It's something that's really easy to use. We have an extensive library of sounds from cardionics that they can use for that. And the students can also practice listening to the correct places. So when they move the stethoscope around, they can also improve their skills on auscultation. The other thing I've mentioned also in summary is that you can also customize your library. So customers will get back to you and ask you, can I have a specific library? Can I have specific sounds? So this is possible. We just need their SimScope number, and then we can they can get additional sounds to the sounds that they already have in their library. The other advantage is that it's very light and portable, so they can also you can also ship it around. The other thing, the most important thing, is the pricing. So we've reduced the prices. I encourage you to get in touch with your local area manager here at 3B. So we had a tremendous decrease on the pricing for these two mannequins. It's not as we offered them previously. And as mentioned, the features have increased. We've allowed you now to use the SimScope with Wi-Fi. This was not possible previously. Something else we've also allowed you to be able to do, with the SAM mannequin is in the library of sounds. We are allowing them now to extend their libraries and to customize it as well. And finally, we also have updated cases like the COVID case that they can use too, which is something that everyone is concerned with at the moment. Having looked at that, I hope you're now comfortable to present SAM and PAT Basic. You can be able to tell a customer what they can do with this. You can tell your customers where they can, the markets where you can sell this. And finally, I hope that you're able to encourage them to take advantage of the SAM Online. I encourage them to sign up and take advantage of this 60-day free trial where they can listen to the sounds. I want to thank you all for your attention this morning. Remember to send in the questions, and also to mention we also have our catalog. Please you can download it from our website. Look through the other products that we have. The good thing with auscultation is that you can sell other products that are related with it. So we have heart models, we have lung models, we have other products that you can combine with this and present them to the customer to make your offer to be even more complete. We also have sales materials that we can provide you with. We have sales sheets and other materials that are available. Most of them are also in different translations. So if you'd want them in your local languages, we can also avail this with you. I encourage you to get in touch with your local area manager or your sales manager, and they'll be able to present this to you. Thank you everyone for listening, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.